Verona for a while, I take my leave to see my friends in Padua, but of all my best and beloved and approved friend Hortensio. And I trow this is his house. Here, Sir Grumio, knock, I say.
Knock, sir? Whom should I knock, sir? Is there a man that has abused your worship?
Villain, I say, knock me here soundly.
Knock you, sir? Why, sir? What am I, sir, that I should knock you, sir?
Villain, I say, knock me at this gate, and rap me well, or I will knock your knave's pate.
My master is grown quarrelsome. I should knock you first, and then I know after who comes by the worst.
Will it not be? Faith, Sirrah, and you'll not knock. I'll ring it. I'll try how you can soul fall and sing it.
Help, mistress. My master is mad.
No, not when I bid you, Sirrah, villain.
How now, what's the matter, my old friend Rubio and my good friend Petruchio? How do you all at Verona?
Signor Hortensio, come you to the part of the fray? Con tutto al cuore ben trovato, may I say?
Alla nostra casa benvenuto molto ornato, Signor mio Petruchio. Rise, Romeo, rise, we will compound this quarrel.
Nay, 'tis no matter, sir, what he ledges in lack. If this be not lawful course for me to leave his service, look you, sir, well. Was it fit for a servant to use his master, so being perhaps for aught I see 32 a pick-out? Whom would to God I had well knocked out first, and then I had no Romeo come by the worst.
A senseless villain, good Hortensio. I bade the rascal knock upon your gate, and could not get him for my heart to do it.
Knock at the gate? Oh, heaven's spake, you knock these words plain. Sirrah, knock me here, rap me well, and knock me soundly. And come you now knocking at the gate.
Sirrah, be gone, or talk not, I advise you.
Petruchio, patience, I am Rumia's pledge. Why, this is a heavy chance twixt him and you, your ancient, trusty, pleasant servant Rumio. And tell me now, sweet friend, what happy gale blows you to Padua, here from old Verona.
Such wind as scatters young men through the world to seek their fortunes farther than at home, where shall experience grows. But in a few, Signor Hortensio, thus it stands with me. Antonio, my father, is deceased, and I have thrust myself into this maze, happily to lie and thrive, as best I may. Crowns in my purse I have, and goods at home, and so am come abroad to see the world.
Petruchio, shall I then come round thee to thee, and wish thee to a shrewd, ill-favored wife? Thou thank me but a little for my counsel, and yet I'll promise thee she shall be rich, and very rich, but thou art too much my friend, and I'll not wish thee to her.
Signor Hortensio, twixt such friends as few words suffice, and therefore, if thou know one rich enough to be Petruchio's wife, as well his burden of my wooing dance, be she as foul as was Florentius' love, and old as Sybil, and as cursed and shrewd as Socrates' Xanthip, or as worse she moves me not, or not removes at least affection's edge in me, were she as rough as the Adriatic seas, I come to wive it wealthily in Padua, if wealthily then happy in Padua.
Nay, look you, sir, he tells you flatly what his mind is. Why, give him gold enough, and marry him to a puppet or an adlet baby. And an old trot, with ne'er a tooth in her head, though she have as many diseases as 52. Why, nothing comes amiss, so money comes withal.
Petruchio, since we are stepped thus far in, I will continue that I broached in jest. I can, Petruchio, help thee to a wife, with wealth enough and young and beauteous, brought up as best becomes a gentlewoman. Her only fault, and that is faults enough, is that she is intolerable, cursed, and shrewd, and froward so beyond all measure. That were my state far worser than it is, I would not wed her for a mine of gold.
Hortensio, peace. Thou knowest not gold's effect. Tell me her father's name, and 'tis enough. For I will board her, though she chide as loud as thunder when the clouds in autumn crack.
Her father is Baptista Minola, an affable and courteous gentleman. Her name is Katharina Minola, renowned in Padua for her scolding tongue.
I know her father, though I know not her, and he knew my deceased father well. I will not sleep, Hortensio, till I see her, and therefore let me be thus bold with you, to give you over at this first encounter, unless you will accompany me thither.
In this passage, excerpted from Shakespeare's play, The Taming of the Shrew, one could argue that Petruchio is the shrew because he is hot-tempered, even towards his noble servant Grumio. Petruchio asks Grumio to knock on his friend Hortensio's door. They are in Padua. Hortensio will later enter to defend incompetent Grumio and help Petruchio find a rich wife. Here we begin with Petruchio explaining his location and reason for being there. Petruchio: I'm leaving Verona behind for a while, so I can come here to Padua to see my friend Hortensio. As a matter of fact, this is his house. Knock on this door here, Grumio. Grumio mistakes Petruchio's use of the word knock to mean hit someone rather than knock on the door. Grumio: You mean hit someone, sir? Who should I hit? Let me at him. Is there a man behind that door who has abused your worship? By abused, Grumio again asserts his place in society by incorrectly pronouncing the word abused as rebused. Petruchio: You bumbling idiot, I'm telling you to knock on the door for me, and you better knock well. Petruchio is frustrated with the fact that he has such an incompetent servant. Grumio: Truly, sir, I do not think it would be acceptable for me to hit you. Grumio is also becoming frustrated. Petruchio: Idiot, I tell you. Now knock on the door for me well, or I will hit you on your head. Petruchio uses the word knock to mean knock on the door and also to hit Grumio on the head with his own fist. Grumio: My master is becoming very angry. If I hit him on the head, I know I will regret it more than he will. Grumio is worried he is not pleasing his master by being confused. Petruchio: Why are you still standing there? If you don't knock on the door, I'll twist your ears, and it will hurt so bad you'll be able to sing the high notes. Petruchio uses ring to mean twist in this situation. Grumio: Help, ma'am, help! My master's gone crazy. Grumio falls to the ground. He is now afraid of his master and the physical abuse he thinks is to come. Petruchio: Now you'll maybe knock on the door next time I tell you to. Hortensio now enters the scene. He is on Grumio's side. Hortensio: Hey, what's the problem? If it isn't my old friend Grumio and my good friend Petruchio, how is everyone in Verona these days? Petruchio: Hortensio, have you come here to break up the fight? In Latin he says, I welcome you with all of my heart. Grumio cowers behind Hortensio because he is afraid of his master's physical abuse. Hortensio says in Latin, Welcome to my humble abode, Petruchio. In English he says, Get up, Grumio, we will settle this fighting. Grumio gets up off the ground. He is warming up to Hortensio because he has stepped in between him and his angry master. Grumio: He has no idea what has been said between his master and Hortensio in Latin, so he becomes defensive. I do not care what he has been telling you in Latin. If I am not justified by his unlawful acts to leave his service, I don't know what is. Did I handle the situation correctly? Especially since my master is clearly crazy. I wish I had hit him hard, the first chance I got. If I had hit him, I would feel much better.
An idiotic villain, my friend Hortensio. I told the rascal to knock on your gate, and I could not get him to do it. Petruchio now reveals to Grumio that he originally meant for him to knock at the gate. Grumio then says, Knock on the gate? Oh, good heavens, did you not speak these words? Sir, knock me here, rap me here, knock me well, and knock me soundly? And now you say that you said knocking at the gate? Grumio has now figured out Petruchio's first intention, but he's heavily confused. Petruchio then says, Peasant, be gone, or do not talk, I warn you. Petruchio is now tired of Grumio's excuses. Hortensio then says, Petruchio, have patience. I am Grumio's guarantor. Why, this is a grave misfortune, a misunderstanding. Your long-time, trusty, and pleasant servant Grumio. Now tell me, sweet friend, what happiness should blow you here to Padua from Verona? Hortensio is kind of fed up with all the nonsense and wants to get straight to the point. Petruchio then says, "Those winds scatter young men through the world to seek fortunes that they could never imagine, where small experience expands. But in a few words, Sir Hortensio, this is what has happened. Antonio, my father, has died, and I have thrown myself into this mess, perhaps to marry, become wealthy, or as best as I can. Money in my bag and goods for home, so I came here to see the world. Petruchio wants to wive, but only for the money." Hortensio then says, "Petruchio, should I tell you this and show you to a shrew, an ugly wife? You should thank me for my little help, but I promise that you will be rich, very rich. But you are my friend. I could not wish for you to be with her." Hortensio is confused and does not want Petruchio to marry a shrew, because he's his friend. Petruchio says, "Sir Hortensio, we are such good friends that we cannot explain in just a few words. And therefore, if you know one rich enough to be my wife, as wealth gets in the way of my charming qualities, she can be as foul as an old hag, or as old as Sibyl, and as bad-tempered as Socrates' Xanthip, or a worse. She does not change my mind, or removes the thought of affection's edge in me. She could be as rough as the Adriatic seas. I came here to Padua to wive and have wealth. If I am wealthy, I am happy here." In conclusion, Petruchio does not care how horrible Catherine, his wife that he dreams of, could be. He just wants to be wealthy like he's always dreamed, showing his true colors as a person.
Grumio says to Hortensio, "Hortensio, Petruchio will tell you what it is on his mind. If you give him gold, he will marry a puppet or a doll decked with spangles, or an old hag with no teeth with as many diseases as 250 horses. Nothing stops Petruchio from having money." Hortensio says, "Petruchio, since we have gone this far, I will continue to bring up this joke. I can help you get a wife that is wealthy, young, and beautiful, brought up to be a lady. Her only accountability, and that is a big accountability, is that she is extremely foul-mouthed. She is a shrew beyond all measure, and even if my financial status were much worse than it is, I wouldn't marry her for a mine of gold." Petruchio says, "Calm down, Hortensio. You know the effect of gold. Tell me her father's name, and that's enough. I will woo her, even if she gives me a hard time like thunder when the clouds in autumn crack." Hortensio says, "Her father is Baptista Minola, a polite and civil gentleman. Her name is Catherine Minola, known in Padua for her scolding tongue." Petruchio says, "I know her father, but I don't know her well, and he knew my lost father as well. Hortensio, I will not sleep until I see her, and therefore let me be forward with you. I will leave you right now at this first confrontation, unless you will accompany me to see her."
Petruchio is the shrew not only in this passage, but in the play as a whole. He proves this by harboring a bad temper towards his servant Grumio. He even resorts to physical violence sometimes. He wrings Grumio's ears when Grumio does not understand what his master wants. Grumio asserts his place in society when he shows he is confused by the request of someone in the upper class.
Petruchio is also greedy. He only has his eye on money rather than love. He is willing to marry any woman, no matter what her faults are, for the sake of gaining money. The definition of a shrew is exclusively connected to a bad-tempered woman. But in this play, one could argue that a man could also be a shrew. Petruchio does not care how his mistress will feel when she is made second to fortune and his selfishness.